Hello, and welcome to Voices from the Field, a Mayfair podcast where we talk with educators in the field to hear about their perspectives and experiences. My name is Jake Burson, Advocacy Chair for Mayfair, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Glencross. Hillary Glencross is a passionate educator and advocate for excellence in physical education. As a professor in the Sport and Movement Science Department at Salem State University, she inspires and prepares the next generation of physical education teachers, weaving together innovative practices and a deep commitment to inclusivity. With nearly a decade of teaching experience at Watertown High School, including 5 impactful years focused on middle school adapted physical education, she brings real-world expertise to her students. Her work emphasizes the power of universal design for learning, UDL, and thoughtful modifications, ensuring every student can thrive in physical education, while also incorporating technology into the gymnasium. Beyond the classroom, she is a driving force in the profession, co-chairing Mayford's Council of Future Professionals and a member of Shape America's Professional Preparation Council. Known for her love of unit and lesson planning, creative assessment strategies, and advocacy for student-centered learning, she inspires peers and future educators to embrace physical education's dynamic and inclusive potential. Welcome, Dr. Glencross. It's so exciting to be in the space with you, and thank you so much for saying yes to the podcast. Before we get started, what's making you smile these days?
Thanks, Jake, for having me. That's a great question to start off with. I guess for me, as much as we're recording right now, it's raining. The nicer weather that we recently had, that's kind of what's making me smile. And I know it's coming back, looks like next week. But a couple weeks ago, I was out, did a 17.5 mile bike ride on the Bruce Freeman Trail. My puppy needs a 3 mile walk every day, so just having that nice weather, it's really making me happy to get outside and away from my computer when I can.
Absolutely, totally agree. Yeah, last week it was sunny, hot, so now here we are. So that's the
Yeah.
feeling for you. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Glencross, tell me more about who you are, how you started your education journey, a little background about yourself.
Okay. So ultimately, I'm a daughter, sister, wife, dog mom, right?
Hmm.
Super passionate about phys ed, wellness. I student taught at Lincoln Sudbury, so wellness for me is like a key word that was drilled into my mind there. Um, but growing up, I was the student that hated phys ed. I did everything I could to get out of PE. I'd get the doctor's notes. I'd be in the nurse's office. I'd be the one on the bleachers. Um, and it wasn't until my freshman year of high school, I walked into class and I looked at Coach Hogue and I said, I already hate your class. I'm not going to participate. And she's like, give me a chance. I said, no, math is my class. I go, I'm not doing it. And she goes, just one chance. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, I have to do this. So she got me moving. It was a full year of phys ed for freshmen. Our final quarter was swimming, and of course, I got the doctor's note, and I'm like, I have psoriasis. I can't do it. Making up every excuse, right? And she goes, get in my pool. I was like, no, I have the doctor's note. I'm not getting in the pool. And she got me in that pool, and every year after, I was going to phys ed. We were open campus, so anytime a teacher was
Hmm.
out, we had a free period. I was down in the gym with Coach Hogue. She changed my world. She had me on the volleyball team, working out with them. I didn't get to play in any games or anything, but I got to do the conditioning and stuff. And that changed my mind. And I was like, wow, she changed my life, and it's now my time to give back. So my senior year of high school, I was dual enrolled at Middlesex Community College, and I had the option to finish an associate's degree, which was going to be in education, or I could apply and start going to colleges. So I applied to all of the state schools, and
Hmm.
Salem State was the only one that accepted me, despite Westfield being my number one. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Salem. I'll transfer after 1 year. Um, Fell in love with it, and I did 3 years at Salem State, finished my undergrad there. Went on to Western Michigan, did my master's degree in adapted phys ed, and then went on to get my doctorate at Northeastern in
Wow.
education. And so then I taught phys ed. I knew when I graduated from Salem State in 2013, I had said to one of the guys that I actually worked with for 10 years, I go, I never want to teach phys ed. And we're at graduation. And he goes, it's a little late now, don't you think? And I was like, yeah, like I want to teach phys ed, but I want to do curriculum. Like I don't want to be in a gym all day. And he's
Hmm.
like, well, that's what your degree is. So went on, worked with him for 10 years. Uh, Best 10 years. I loved it. I definitely would not have changed that,
Hmm.
but ultimately wanted curriculum. So back at Salem State now, working with the future phys ed teachers. So it's pretty cool.
That's an awesome story. So it sounds like Coach Hogue really had a positive impact from that time, saying, "Get in the pool, let's do this."
Yeah,
So you
she was
mentioned
excited.
curriculum work, right? You like that, you enjoy that, and you also enjoy teaching. So um now you're back at Salem State as a professor. What kind of courses do you offer at your institution, or what do you teach?
So we actually have three programs, which is really cool. At Salem
Hmm.
State, we have a 4+1 program. So our undergrad, 4 years, finish with a bachelor's and have one more for a master's.
Okay.
We have an MAT program with career changers. So they have a bachelor's in something else, but they're coming back. And then
Hmm.
we have our MED program that has three different pathways. So phys ed, adapted phys ed, and adventure education through Project Adventure. So my primary role, I teach the online curriculum and instruction design in
Hmm.
our grad classes. So I do that in the spring online, and I teach secondary methods in the spring. So that's in person one night, and then I pretty much supervise all of our students. So we have students that are in pre-practicum doing 60 hours a week in the field. So I'm observing them, working with them, and then I usually have 3 to 4 student teachers in the fall on top of that that I'm supervising. So I'm more supervising and helping make sure that their lesson plans and curriculum are playing out the right way.
Hmm. So in total, how many students would you say you have? Like, is it 10, 20, more or less, or does it vary depending on the
It
semester or?
definitely, yeah, it definitely varies. This semester I had 14 pre-practicum students and I had
Hmm.
3 student teachers in the fall.
Okay.
And then my online classes are usually kind of on the smaller side lately. Last year it was a little bit bigger. This semester it's under 10. Um, but again, our MED and MAT programs are our biggest programs right now. So that's kind of where all my students are. And being in a supervising role, it's more of our undergrads
Hmm.
uh, and the MAT students.
It's good that they have these different options, different pathways they can take. That's really cool. So,
Yeah.
what's a typical day look like for you? Just like take us through like the morning, then what happens
So
midday,
that's,
yeah.
that is a tough one to answer because at Salem State, I'm on campus only 2 days a week typically.
Hmm.
Um, so in the fall, I'm on campus Mondays pretty much all day, and then Wednesday nights for our student teaching seminar. And then in the spring, it's again Mondays all day, but then Thursday nights for our secondary methods course. So all the other days I'm kind of at home. So I
Hmm.
guess for me, my typical day there is I'm a morning person. I get up, like I said at the beginning, with what makes me happy, my puppy, she's almost 2, so she's not even a puppy, but Jack Russell Lab mix.
Oh,
She needs,
nice.
she wears a 4 pound backpack, needs that 3 mile walk. So first thing in the morning, it's 3 mile walk, and that is enough to get us to lunchtime. Get back home and I'm on the computer answering emails. I spend a lot of time on Zoom with host teachers and students. I use a Microsoft booking calendar.
Hmm.
So my students have like full access to me. So there are some days where I'm on Zoom all day long. And then being a supervisor, our students are in the field recording themselves and they never pivoted back to in-person observations. So they upload to a platform called SibMe, and I spend a lot of my time on SibMe, which is actually really cool because I can watch them teach, I can rewind it, I put comments on it, and then our students can actually go back and watch themselves teach and reflect, but also at the same time see my comments pop up at the exact moment. Um,
That's
so those
interesting.
ones,
Yeah.
yeah, those take me 3 to 4 hours per observation because I'm so thorough of like wanting to make sure I have the right comments and make sure I'm reflecting. So I do spend a lot of time making sure our students get a lot of feedback there. So that takes up the majority of my day at home.
So this program, how do I spell it? SIBME? What's the?
Yep. So SIBME, it actually stands for Seeing is Believing in Me.
Oh, okay.
So Salem State got a contract during COVID with them, I guess. That was before my time there. And it's been phenomenal because they don't have to pay us to get in the field. And during COVID, it was hard to be in the field
Right.
supervised. And it just worked. And it saved so much time because for me, I live an hour away from Salem State,
Hmm.
and most of our students are up there. And so if I was supervising my 14 pre-practicums and three student teachers, I'm
Hmm.
all over the state every day. So the online platform is really cool. And like I said, the students can take the time to reflect. I can put questions on the video and they can go back and respond to my questions right there.
Hmm.
So it is really cool.
That is cool. So some of the this would be the whole class, right? So some of the students that can't get photographed or videotaped, it's just a personal, it's not getting published, right? So
Oh
it's
yeah, it
just
goes
between
nowhere
you.
except yeah, just me and we have I think 4 or 5 people in our school of ed that have access to it in case Desi had questions or
Right,
something.
right.
But no, it doesn't get published. I'm the only one that views it. Uh,
Interesting.
and I
I
always
would,
tell my students that if they're in a class that can't have a student recorded,
hmm,
uh, the supervising teacher there can kind of follow them around with the camera. I mean, ideally, I
right,
see engagement, but if it's not possible, we make it work.
right. You got to be flexible, right?
Yeah,
That's so
definitely.
cool. I wish they had that when I was student teaching. So
I was thinking that too. I
yeah,
feel like it's a little less nerve-wracking. I mean, I remember having Dr. Gary Nyan in my
yeah.
class, and it was like the scariest thing watching him with his notepad. So now they don't see me. It's just a camera sitting in the bleachers.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
cool. So,
Yeah.
just moving on to the next question, Dr. Glencross, what do you think are the essential skills that students need to learn who are going to Salem State? What do you want them to come out of there with?
I mean,
Knowledge,
for me,
skills, disposition?
I, yeah, all of their professional dispositions for sure. The ability to write a lesson plan, that's
Hmm.
what we're really driving home right now.
Right.
But ultimately, I want them to be able to teach quality, fun physical education that's safe
Hmm.
and inclusive for everybody. Like I said, I went to Salem State. Now I get to work with Dr. John Passerini, and he always said, "Nobody's disabled. We're all just differently abled." And
Right.
that's always stuck with me. And also just being that student that hated phys ed, I kind of always
Hmm.
like just feel like you need to talk to your students. So I want them to kind of learn how to build that rapport,
Right.
bring that into their class, and really just be able to bring quality phys ed, but fun at the
Hmm.
same time. Because I never had the fun growing up. And I
Right.
think if I had fun, I would have had a different perspective.
Right. That's such a great story that you kind of had a flip, right, with this coach and all your positive experiences, and now you want to have your students experience that. So Dr.
Yeah.
Passerini, he's still there, right? I think I saw him at the Adapted P conference a couple years ago. Is that right? He's
Yeah, he's
still
still there. Yep.
wow,
Got the McKinney Award this year.
that's
So that was really
awesome.
cool to see. And he's amazing. He's got the most brilliant mind ever on supporting anybody. And actually, when I was in Watertown, so I was a substitute my first year there, and then I
Hmm.
got hired on full time, and I was thrown into the adapted, and I'm like, I don't know anything about adapted except for my one class I took in undergrad with Dr. Paz.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, that's why I went and got my master's degree in it. But in the time, that didn't fix it. So we brought Dr. Paz to Watertown, and I had a student in a wheelchair, and he couldn't do anything really. And Dr.
Hmm.
Paz walked in, and this kid just smiled, and he had the biggest smile. And Dr. Paz got this kid throwing a ball, and it was more like of a roll, but like I
Right.
couldn't get the student to do anything. And Dr. Paz is like a miracle worker.
Wow.
Um, so it is really cool to work alongside him now. I was actually trying to take one of his classes this summer to help me with the national adapted exam, but didn't fill the course. So I'm gonna have to wait until they fill it up again, because he is so awesome. I would take any of his classes again because he just has the best stories.
That's so cool. Is that the APENS exam or is that changed? Is that still the APENS, the national one
Yeah, I think
to get
so.
certified? Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. So
yeah.
you mentioned lesson planning, which is so important. And I think as veteran teachers, sometimes you get into the habit of, we know this material or we know the content, and do I really need to write a 3-page lesson plan? I still try to plan out my units really detailed. So along with the line of lesson planning, what are your thoughts about AI lesson planning and having the students go through this process? Do you think it's going to help them? Do you think it's going to hinder them? What are your thoughts about AI in relation to lesson planning and teaching?
So I love AI.
Hmm.
I know we were talking a little before about how I'm the tech person at Salem State. So I've kind of been the driving force of like, let's use AI, but
Hmm.
we also need to teach our students how to be good consumers of it. Because as you're saying, it's like we want them to be able to write a lesson plan, but at the same time, AI can write that lesson plan.
Hmm.
And actually, one of the cool things that we learned from AI is that it can't write a really strong, measurable objective. So we've actually been using AI to create objectives, and they're poor objectives, and our students actually have to go through and figure out what's missing and how can they fix that objective.
Interesting.
So we use it in that way, kind of to check for understanding and see if they can do it that way. And then we actually this semester with secondary methods, they were struggling to come up with like fun activities, and a few of their lessons were like, "You just taught that. You just did that again. Like you're teaching this multiple lessons in a row. Like
Hmm.
you're going to lose your students." And I'm like, "We got to use AI." So I sent them to AI and I said, "Write in what your objective is and ask it to create 5 activities." And we look for 3 in their lesson plan. And I go, it's going to create like these really cool games.
Hmm.
And now they don't always make sense. And this is where the good consumer part comes in. And so we spent a class going through these activities and like really taking them. And some of them were like, wow, that was really cool. There was a cool tic-tac-toe volleyball game or something. And I mean, some of the rules were a little wonky,
Hmm.
but they took the time and they broke it down and they made it their own. So it just kind of helped like boost that like imagination and creativity as to what lesson plans could be. So it
Mm.
kind of is just the support. And I believe Magic School AI is the one that I saw. It's an 80-20 rule. So use AI for 80% of your planning, but you got to
Hmm.
take that 20% and
Right.
make it your
Right.
own. And that's why students are always funny. They're like, well, you can't tell if I used AI. And I'm like, yes, I can, because you didn't proofread it. If you proofread it, you'd see that you used AI. So that's always the funny part. But we definitely need to make sure that they're good consumers of it because it's
Mm.
here and I think it's here to stay. And
Mm.
our students are using it, like high school students, middle school students, they're using it. So as teachers, they need to be capable of also utilizing that tool.
Right. Yeah, like you said, it's a tool, and not depend on it too much, but how do you make the content that you get your own and to
Right.
to impact your learner? So that yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what advice would you give to someone new entering our field? It
I
could be
think,
a teacher or it could be, just a beginner. What advice?
yeah, I think the most important thing, I mean, for me looking back, even as a new teacher, it's building that network. Like I said, I went to Salem State, I
Hmm.
graduated, class of 5 of us. And I still talk to most of them. And one of them I taught with for 10 years, and he's still in Watertown teaching. And I lean on them. Like he's pro Project Adventure. Like any
Hmm.
question I have about Project Adventure, I'm texting him, calling him. I put a student teacher with him right now, because she wants to learn more about Project Adventure. So he's just my resource. And so building that network from whoever you went to school with,
Hmm.
keeping them in touch, getting involved in Mayford. I got involved with Shape America last year, so I'm on that council as well. So starting to connect with higher ed professionals across the country is really cool. But really just having that network that you can lean on and bounce ideas off of and have as a
Hmm.
support system because phys ed is so different than like your math class or your history class. And you need those friends too. Like
Right.
I work dad, I always called him in Watertown. He was a history teacher, and it's like he was there. He started the year I was born. So like,
Well,
I leaned on him a lot. So you
yeah.
need those professionals in teaching that you can use as support as well.
Right. And they having people in different content areas too, they offer a different perspective
Yeah.
than our own, which is a good learning experience too, good learning opportunity. So really, like
Yeah.
you said, network, get to know other people, join your state association,
Yeah, that's
maybe
a big one.
present at conferences.
Yeah.
I know Mayford offers what we have the fall conference, the spring conference, the adapted. We try to offer our members as many opportunities as possible. But and you
Yeah.
you travel too. You've gone over, have you been to like these national conventions?
Yeah, I presented with our Shape America Preparation Council this past March.
Oh wow.
Uh, April, not March. Um, so I had 2 roundtable discussions that I helped to lead, and then a
Hmm.
coffee talk on research collaborations. So that one was actually really cool because we had some college undergrad students that sat at that coffee table, and they're like, "We want to do research too." And the research for phys ed in the United States is lacking.
Hmm.
Um, so it was just kind of cool to see like the people that really do care and want to be that driving force to make change.
I wonder why it's lacking. What kind of research do you research yourself? What kind of research is out there right now? What are you interested in, or what's the hot topics for research now?
So I guess I don't know what the hot topic is. I mean, for me, I'm always looking at like engagement. So
Yeah.
when I did my master's degree, it was all about inclusive, adapted phys ed in that least
Hmm.
restrictive environment. Um, so I like to pay attention to that. And then my dissertation research was on remote engagement in phys ed. So I'm trying to actually
Hmm.
work on writing an article from that and like how do we boost engagement now that we're fully back? I mean, we're still fighting with the cell phones, and
Right.
the technology that doesn't help phys ed. I mean, there's tons of technology that should help and we need to utilize that, but I think still too many students are stuck on their phones and they're not engaging even with their peers. So for me,
Mm.
it's researching some of that, the social emotional learning. And I mean, outside of phys ed, although not necessarily outside of phys ed, like the anxiety with our students, that's something
Mm.
that I keep looking into as well, because it just seems like mental health and anxiety has increased post-COVID.
Right.
And we talk,
I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So it's with phys ed and the wellness, we touch it. So it's like, how can we help support our students more in that sense?
Mm. Interesting. So,
Yeah.
have there been any new programs or initiatives you've been a part of or have led, either, personally or at your institution, Salem State?
I mean, like we mentioned
You,
at the beginning, I co-chair Council for Future Professionals with Anne
hmm
Marie Gallo. I've been on the Shape America Professional Preparation Council,
hmm
and we were kind of doing networking and stuff. And at Salem State, my involvement is on a lesson plan task force, so we're trying to figure out what that lesson plan should look like,
hmm
um, and bring some ideas to a dean because when it's all said and done at Salem State, our lesson plan oftentimes looks like it's 9 to 20 pages long.
Right,
In
right.
a field that's overwhelming to a host teacher, right? So kind of working on that. I've also been a part of our assessment committee at
hmm
Salem State in the School of Education, looking at our MTEL policy as well as working to redesign our assessment of professional dispositions. So still kind of getting my foot wet here at Salem State, but trying to get involved where I can with different initiatives.
That's really cool. So, tell me a little bit about the MTEL. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to change the questions, make it more user friendly? What's the goal with that, the
Oh,
MTEL?
I would love that. I don't have that say. That's a Pearson thing. Um, no, so I think again, still trying to learn some of the stuff. So at Salem
Uh-huh.
State, it sounded like due to COVID, there was the MTEL waiver. And so when I
All
was there,
right,
you had to pass the MTEL to pass or
right.
to graduate.
Yep.
Then COVID happened and then they kind of got rid of that. And it was
hmm
just get teachers in the field.
Right. Get them out there teaching.
Yeah, so now we're trying to figure out what's the policy, because it's a hard test to pass. What's the policy on that for graduation?
hmm
But like you said, I think we need to look at the MTEL in general. But I think that's above my pay grade.
Yeah, yeah, no, other people can deal with that. And
I
then
mean,
as
I'm happy to be on a task force for it, but definitely not where I'm at right now.
well, it's all necessary work, right? So what about the future professionals? Tell our listeners a little bit more about that. Like what do you do specifically with them and what are the ultimate goals with that?
So we usually try and meet with them once a month on Zoom. This year was
hmm
a little more challenging, so we didn't get to
hmm
see them as much this year. But ultimately, we work to basically provide resources to our students, and they can bring them back to their school. We created a website, which actually was created before I was there, and the students locked Anne Marie Gallo out of it. So she lost all access. So I basically took this website and recreated it so that we had access to it and our students have access. And so they have MTEL resources on there. They've collaborated to put job interview stuff on that website. So it's just kind of like a website with just tons of resources, I guess. They're actually wanting to create a link on there to help our students that live in other states. So they
hmm
might be going to school in Massachusetts, but how do you get a license in another state? So they're trying to do their licensure processes there and put that on our website as well. And then we work with them to create one presentation that is done at the fall conference in Worcester.
hmm
So our idea for next year, we're still trying to iron out, but I think it'll be a good one. I don't
That
want to
sounds
give too
cool.
much away. Students haven't fully figured it out, so I'm not gonna release that yet.
Right, right. Make it a surprise for them. So
Yeah.
just a way to provide resources and so like you said, they were trying to get folks or people from other states to um get some resources as well, because not everybody lives in Massachusetts. So it sounds really
Yeah.
cool.
That's why, I mean, I'd like for them to bring back the advocacy day for students as well, because last year we did that, and then this year we didn't really do it, but there were also only a handful of students that went from all of the colleges last year. So it kind of fizzled out and didn't really fit student schedules. But I'd like to see if we can bring that back as a council as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great. And that's when they go to the State House, right, in Boston and talk with the
Yeah.
legislators and they really get hands-on experience. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that
Yeah,
one
we
was
did
really
that a few
cool.
years ago, right?
Yeah, we go to every office and we bring folders with information, and
hmm
there's usually one law that we're trying to get them aware of, and
hmm
it's really cool. And we bring shoelaces. Maria always talks about the shoelaces and how they all love getting shoelaces, so it's always
That's
pretty cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um, in your work with stakeholders and other professionals, what are some common questions you get in regards to your program or PE in general?
I guess for me, it's we still have too many people stuck in like the gym class mind, and you need a
Right.
degree for phys ed, and it's like what are you studying, you know? And I think that comes up a lot. Um, but I also think for us, we have that 4+1 program,
hmm
and I think there's a lot of questions around that. And you're like, wait, I can get a master's degree in 5 years and a bachelor's in that, and it's like, yeah, like it's a lot of work, but like we'll get you out there, and um, our students are great, so. It's a lot of questions, I guess, about that program as well.
Okay. And again, it's good you have that option. So typically if you didn't have the 4+1 program, what would it take them? Like maybe 7, 8 years to
I think
get there.
it would be, yeah, 6 or 7, because it would be 4 for undergrad, and then
Uh-huh.
typically a master's is 2 to 3 years.
Right. If you're doing it in person. I did mine in person. So it took a while, so like 7 years, but online
Yeah.
I'm sure it's quicker, right? If you have online options.
Yeah, I was full time. I was the exception. Again, I did Salem State in 3. Should have
Oh
been
wow.
4. It was 20 credits a semester in the summer because I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I regret it. Looking back, I regret it. I'm like, oh, those were the best years of my life, and I wish I didn't rush it. We had so much.
Well, I'm sure you learned a lot too, right? So,
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, we used to like, but we would have study groups and stuff. Like we'd sit in our O'Keefe building and we'd all
mhm.
study and do our homework together, and we'd go bowling, and it was great. So
That's
definitely
so
the best.
cool.
Yeah.
How has that changed, O'Keefe in the last, have they been added onto it or, I was there back in, well, a long time ago. I don't want to date myself, but 2001 area.
Yeah,
But
so it would have changed from then. So
uh,
I graduated 2013, so I was there 2010 to 2013,
mhm,
and the fitness center is different. We have the Gasset Fitness Center now. It's like
mhm,
beautiful. There's a new gym there. But the phys ed facilities are pretty much the same. Um, but I would say, although it's coming back, the atmosphere is different than back in the day. And I
mhm,
feel weird saying back in the day, but like I said, we all sat there and did homework. We sat in a little cafe. They had popcorn and pizza going. And they don't have that anymore. There's no more food. The students aren't sitting there. You know,
mhm.
our secondary methods class is like slowly bringing it back, and they're showing up to class 2 hours early and they're hanging out. But they also have a Zoom class every other week, so they're
Uh,
all taking Zoom. But I just that the community is like not there, and I think that's a post-COVID thing that we're
right.
slowly seeing come back.
Yeah, I think it'll get there. It's just a matter of time and, just you know, maybe next year they'll be like you said, it takes a while to process and it's affected everybody, but it's good that it's coming back, right? It's good that it's
Yeah,
active.
yeah.
We're coming to the close of the podcast here, but so what future goals do you have? Could either be personal or professional goals you'd like
Okay.
to achieve.
So I guess one of the resources that we always provide our students with actually comes out of the state of Kansas, and they have this
hmm
really cool website with curriculum, different things for curriculum. They have activities, they have assessment, and it's like almost like a canned curriculum, but not really because you have to pick activities and stuff. But it's all aligned with their state standards and the old Shape America standards. So
hmm
I would love to somehow create that for Massachusetts and Mayford and our students because we direct them to that. Like if they're stuck and AI is not working for them, we're like, go check out this site. But it's like now it's a little outdated. So I'm hoping they update it. Um, but Amory Gallo had shared that one with me. So I think trying to bring something like that to Massachusetts would be cool and align it with the Mass frameworks if
hmm
possible, and then the new shape standards. But also going back to that AI, really kind of figuring out where AI even fits in more. I think that's one of my big goals in the future as well, because like I said, I do enjoy using it, but there are a lot of flaws to it, and making sure our students know what those flaws are is kind of important to me.
hmm Yeah, because they're the ones going out into the field, so we have to make sure they have the right information.
Yeah.
Very cool. Great goals. Very ambitious, but you got it. I know you can do it. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping.
so how can our listeners connect with you? Are you on any social media, or do you have a website or an email that you'd like to share if they have questions after listening?
Sure. So I live on my email, so
Hmm.
hglencross@salemstate.edu.
Okay.
That would be the one you can constantly get me on. I do actually have my own website with my research and stuff there, so hillaryglencross.com. But I also run the Salem State Phys Ed Teacher Ed Instagram, so at SSU_PETE on Instagram. You can send a DM there, and I'll be the one that answers that if you had any questions or want to connect.
Perfect. I'll make sure to put those in the show notes so folks can reach out to you if they need. Really cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Glenn Cross, for sharing your experience and expertise with us. It's been really great.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. This was
Of
fun.
course. Listeners, if you have any questions, you can always email us at mayfordpodcast@gmail.com. We'll have this episode uploaded soon. Also, we're asking our listeners to leave a review if this podcast has been helpful in supporting you in any way, as it does help other folks find it. Thank you all for listening. Have a great week, and we will be back soon.